Hi you guys, and welcome back to the second video in my series on learning how to crochet. In the first video, we learned how to make a slip knot and get the yarn onto your hook. In this video, we are going to learn how to make a chain. So this involves learning how to hold your yarn. Every crocheter does this in a different way. I will show you what is comfortable for me and how I do it, but I encourage you to play around and find what is the most comfortable for you. And also, I find that one of the biggest issues with beginners, as well as the biggest issue I have when I first started, is I would hold my yarn way too tight. So I would be stressed, I'm learning something new. I would be tense and I would be pulling my yarn way too tight, and that would cause an uncomfortable experience. And it would make my work really hard because when you pull too tight, it makes it way harder for you to work into the stitches. Crochet should be relaxing, and you should lower your shoulders and relax your body, and it should just flow. So it really is a practice getting the right tension in a way that your work isn't going to be loose and sloppy, but you're also not going to be cramping up, and it's not going to be too hard to work into the stitches. So you really have to just find a perfect balance in between that. And all I can say is just practice. Just keep trying and test out different methods and see what's the most comfortable for you. So I'll show you how I hold my yarn and what works for me. And I will say I am married, so I usually take off my wedding ring because my yarn gets caught on it. So if you have a wedding ring on, you want to make sure when you're crocheting, you want to take that off and your yarn isn't getting caught on that. So the way I hold my yarn is you flip your hand upside down and you take, so this is your tail and this is your working end of your yarn. The working end is attached to the rest of your skein and the tail is cut. You want to turn your hand upside down, and you want to take the working end of your yarn, and you want to kind of hold the hook in your right hand, and you want to take the working end of your yarn and you want to wrap it over the outside of your pinky and in between, like that, up and back in between your pinky again, and then it comes up over the top side of your hand. And this is how I hold my yarn. I have to adjust sometimes depending on if my yarn is kind of loose. So I have a lot of loose yarn on the table, or if the yarn is tightly connected to my skein still, and you just really have to adjust. But this is how I mostly hold my yarn. And see, it's already loose. So you want to wrap it and make sure that you have the right tension. And the way that you control your tension in this way of holding your yarn is you kind of open your pinky and the yarn flows over, and you pinch your pinky and it holds it tighter. So when you need more yarn, you loosen your grip with your pinky and you open your pinky. And then when you want to stop the yarn flow, you pinch your pinky back together. For me, this is what is the most comfortable for me. And honestly, if you start to feel it feels loose and you feel like you lose control, I have to re-hold my yarn over and over again. So I'll let go of it, stretch it out, and then you want to start very close to the hook when you wrap it. Wrap around the outside of your pinky, down the middle, and then around, down the middle again. Flip it over, and the yarn should lay nicely on top of your hand. And then I take my other fingers, my thumb and my other fingers, and I hold onto the work. Right now I don't have much work worked up, but eventually you'll have work to do, and you want to hold onto the work and make sure you can see what you're doing and hold the loop down that way. So to chain, you're going to also need to know how to yarn over. So you're learning lots of things in this video: how to hold your yarn, how to yarn over, and how to chain. Yarning over is pretty simple. It's just like it sounds, but you need to remember which way to pass the yarn. So the yarn is going to go over your hook like this. So it's coming from the back, the furthest part away from you, and towards you to the front. And then you kind of turn your hook as you go, facing down, and pull through the slip knot, the loop you already have on your hook. And it is that simple. Now, You want to be careful not to yarn over, because this is still, the yarn is going over the hook, right? But that's not correct, and that's not going to get you the result that you want. So you want to make sure it's going from farthest away from you, behind the hook, towards you. So from the back forward, that is how you yarn over. And then as you yarn over, you're going to kind of like twist your hook downwards to go through the loop and pull it through like that. And that is how you chain. You just want to make sure that you're not passing the yarn this way, because that's just, it's not going to work. It's going to slip off the hook. You yarn over, back to front, rotate the hook downwards and pull through the loop. And that is how you chain. So in a pattern or in a video, they're going to say chain 30. So you're going to need to be able to count how many chains you make. Do not pull these too tight, beginners. Hear me now. This is so hard for beginners. You want to like hold it really tight and you're really stressed and you have all this tension. Loosen it up. You want to make sure the loop on your hook is loose enough so that, you know, it can flow over your hook and you can actually pass the hook through it. And, you know, because this is going to help you in the next round. You're not going to have trouble working into that stitch. So if you don't count right off the bat and you want to remember how many chains you've made, the way you count a stitch is by these little V's. So if you flip your work over like this, if you flip your work over like this, you can count the V's. So far I have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains right here in this piece of work. So you can count yours and see how much you made. It takes practice. The more you get used to it, it becomes easier and easier to spot the stitches and count them. Honestly, it just takes practice and time, but you count them by these little V's. Each stitch is going to make a V. That's the beauty of crochet. You're opening and closing one stitch at a time. And if you need to take a break, just kind of like open your loop up big so it doesn't unravel and, you know, walk away, go to the restroom, get a snack, whatever. And then when you come back, you can put your hook back in and pull the working end of the yarn to get it back tight the way you need to be. Make sure it's not twisted when you come back and the loop is the way that it needs to be on the hook, and pull it tight. Not too tight though, not too tight, guys. Not too tight. It's all about finding the correct tension that is not too tight and not too loose. It should be comfortable, it should flow, and it should be relaxing. It should be something that you can sit on the couch and relax and do at the end of a long day. That's why I love crocheting. Yarn over, chain, yarn over, chain, yarn over, back to front, and pull through. You got to rotate your hook downwards so that it goes through that chain. And you, my friends, have just learned how to make a crochet chain. So feel free to just chain away. Just chain, 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 chain. Do it until it feels comfortable for you. You want to get this down before you move on to more complicated stitches. You want to make sure that you can get a nice chain that has even tension. All the stitches should be fairly similar. And you want to make sure that it's comfortable and it just flows for you. So practice chaining so you can get down your tension, how to hold the yarn with your hands and how to hold the hook and get the right like tension on your yarn. So practice this until it feels comfortable for you, and then come back and we'll continue to learn more stitches.